Hello
Hey,
and hello and welcome to the Fresh Labs live show. This is episode 6. Can you believe we've had 6 episodes so far, Elisha?
yeah, I
It's a
can't
little
believe
crazy.
that. Yes, we've been doing this every week now at this time, noon in PST, and we'll
Yep.
be continuing to do this every week.
Yes. So live show every Wednesday, 12 p.m. noon Pacific. If you're in Central Time like I am, then you're at 2 p.m. We cover all things emerging tech in the metaverse, Web3, XR, some AI, ML, lots of acronyms, and we cover
Mhm.
quite a lot more there. I'm Johnny Rodriguez, Strategic Innovation Director, and with me is our co-host, who you just heard, Elisha Terada, and he is our Technical Innovation Director. And together we lead Fresh Labs, which is a team inside of Fresh Consulting. You can check us out at freshconsulting.com. Um, and we are excited for our live show today. We're covering a few different topics today. I'll give kind of a quick preview of what that is, and then we'll dive into some of this stuff. So, at a high level, we have a few segments. We have this word of the day. We've covered some pretty cool, some common words, some buzzwords sometimes in the past. We'll be covering one today. We have some lightning news, things that we're not going to spend a ton of time on, but we want to inform you about. We have 5 pieces of lightning news today. And then we're covering these 3 articles, kind of top news sections, one around Meta Horizon Home, some pretty cool stuff there. Amazon AR Shoe Try On, a feature that they've just released, and Meta's photorealistic avatars, something coming from the Reality Labs team. And then at the very end of our show, we have a part that's the question of the week. I have the question of the day on here. I'll update that. But question of the week, where it's a question that we get presented that we have no idea what it's going to be about, and
Mhm.
we'll do our best to answer it um, and kind of dive into some of that stuff.
Cool.
So
Excited to start.
so let's dive into it first with that question of the week,
The
question of the day. Let's go.
word of the
The
day.
word
Question
of
of
the
the
day. See, oh my God, it's
day.
all backwards. The word of the day today. This is one you've probably heard a lot about in the news. Elisha, the word is Ethereum.
Yes, yes,
What can you
that's
tell us about Ethereum?
yeah. So you probably heard about this as much as you heard about Bitcoin. Maybe Bitcoin was maybe what people hear the most because it's almost like how some people became really rich or lost a lot of money and that became a news, right? And Ethereum, I would say people started to hear a lot about this last year around like March when all these hype about NFT became like really like popular and everyone starts to hear about like what's this NFT? How can I be involved? What's OpenSea? Where do I buy those NFTs? And Ethereum essentially is a utilization of the blockchain that you haven't seen because before with the Bitcoin, you think about like how do I make money? How do I exchange? Like kind of like a stock exchange. But with Ethereum, you start to hear more about how do I use blockchain technology to actually purchase something or use it to play a game or earn something and be part of the organizations. So let's look at the official definition of the Ethereum. If you could go to the next slide. So Ethereum, the official, I would say, definition, Ethereum is a decentralized global software platform powered by blockchain. So it's on blockchain, just like Bitcoin. It is mostly commonly known for its native currencies, Ethereum. So Ethereum can be exchanged on Ethereum. ETH can be exchanged on Ethereum. And ETH is more coined with the cryptocurrency of it. Ethereum can be used by anyone to create any secure digital technology they can think of, such as OpenSea to exchange NFT or some web games that you can play and exchange tokens. Ethereum can also process other financial transactions, execute smart contracts, and store data for third party applications. The difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin is the fact that Bitcoin is nothing more than a currency. So everyone think and use Bitcoin as a way of storing your value, your wealth. where Ethereum is a ledger technology that companies are using to build new programs. So you can use it to buy things. You can use it for something other than just storing my wealth on the blockchain. So that is the definition of Ethereum. Johnny, do you have anything to add to Ethereum?
Yeah, it's well, yeah, this is a great definition. I think that the second part to this is often the kind of the where there's a lot of questions around. Okay, well, I've heard of Bitcoin. How does that compare? Um, but yeah, it makes sense. I like the definition you've already covered here. I mean, this is kind of the more official things. I guess maybe the only other thing that that I would add is that my most of my familiarity with NFTs comes from OpenSea and the Ethereum blockchain, and so it is probably it's the most popular blockchain for NFT transactions. It's had the largest amount of yeah, it's had the largest amount of transactions for NFTs. So if you're getting into that space, obviously there's other networks. You'll start to hear things about like eco-friendly blockchain networks and things like that. But Ethereum today is the most popular. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, so that's I think a good word to be thinking about. We cover. I mean, because it is it's powered by blockchain technology. When we cover things like the metaverse, you might actually see that some of these environments are based or are actually built on top of these blockchain technologies. So environments like Somnium Space are environments built on top of the blockchain, or Decentraland. You might have heard of those. And that's full-fledged environments. I like to talk about games, things like that, but these are environments created on top of this technology, which is why it makes those environments a little bit unique and interesting, we could say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Alrighty, so let's jump into the lightning news. I think I have the first few here, Elisha. So there's 5 pieces of articles. This is actually around TikTok avatars. Why are TikTok avatars a thing on our news segment here? We're talking about XR and AR and VR, the metaverse. Well, it's actually we're seeing quite a lot of these big social media platforms introduce the concept of avatars. We saw, if you have a if you have a Meta Quest headset, you've probably created an avatar in your virtual environment. Well, that was introduced to Instagram just a few months ago, and now we're seeing TikTok introduce that, and they say it's to empower continued creative expression and things like that. But what you're starting to do is you can flip the camera and you can see your avatar, full body avatar, as part of your video. Or if you face it towards your face, you're replacing your head, similar to like a memoji or something that if you have an iPhone, you might be familiar with that. But it's a way to kind of express yourself through avatar. It's also worth mentioning that ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, has already announced and has quite a lot of funding that they're using towards building a metaverse environment. So you're starting to see kind of like these foundational elements like an avatar, a digital representation of yourself, be introduced into their app, which is kind of stepping stones towards this kind of future of the metaverse. So kind of an interesting piece of news there. Second quick thing here, you probably remember HTC and some of the phones they used to build. They do some other things, of course, but they've just announced that June 28th they are going to have another phone. And there's a little bit more of information on this, but it's a phone that is, that's like it says in the article here, expected to give some users access to the Viveverse, a metaverse platform where you can hold meetings, watch VR concerts, play games, sell and buy NFTs, and more. So HTC is going to have their own metaverse environment, yet another verse that exists made by a big company. But it'll be interesting because they're tying
Yeah.
that to this physical phone. Isn't that kind of interesting, Elisha?
Interesting. Is it exclusive to the owners of the phone?
I
Or
don't believe it's exclusive. The Viveverse was
okay.
introduced prior to this announcement. I
Oh,
think
okay.
it's a metaverse environment that HTC had already announced and had been doing things. I think that there's gonna have to be something native with the phone. Maybe it's a window, as you can see in the photo here or the illustration. It seems like it's a window into the metaverse. So there's got to be something there that allows you to get into their Viveverse in some more native way than you would through like an Android or iPhone or browser or something. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of comes with that
Yeah, I wonder if they are going to pre-install the application or really getting it close to
natively.
the natively to the hands of consumers, right? Like they never heard of this, but it's there, so I'm gonna click on it. That's very interesting. Like it's really getting closer to us every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that. So yeah, that's coming. We'll probably cover it in the news once they in this news section, or maybe as a full-fledged article when it does get released, if there's big enough uh insights or something newsworthy or innovative there, we want to definitely cover it. But the hashtags are pretty revealing. Viverse, and then the bottom one, create my metaverse life. That's a pretty long hashtag, but something about that probably with your personal identity, your personal space. We're going to cover a news article about Meta later that's kind of doing something similar. So it'll be interesting to see HTC's version of that for what they're introducing in their kind of metaverse environment.
Yes, this is something pretty cool. So Pixel Max, it's a company that builds the metaverse experience, and they built this environment for Alder Hay Children's Hospital. And the aim is to for younger patients like children, Gen Z generation of kids, to explore uh, interactively into the hospital to basically reduce like a little bit of anxiety and almost pique an interest. Like, oh, you're going to this hospital, but I don't know, Johnny, if you tell your kids that they have to go to hospital or dentist, like the
Yep.
image in their mind is like, oh, like I don't want to go and I don't like this or that.
Yep.
But if you interactively show like, oh, this is a cool place, and like look at this radiology, like uh, the device, and I can interact with it, you already know what to expect. You ingrain this image that, oh, it's a fun place. It's just like a cool metaverse place. Basically, they're trying to reduce like a delayed and canceled appointments. I assume like when kids really feel like they really don't want to go, like it would affect the parents. Maybe some parents would feel bad, like, okay, well, like, okay, let's maybe reschedule, or like maybe it's not best for them to do this. But I thought this is very creative usage of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I was gonna say I was actually just on a podcast. I was a guest on a podcast that kind of focuses on healthcare, and I was
Mm,
on their episode around the metaverse. This was yesterday, and that was actually one of the big things that there was a takeaway there in healthcare. Is like one of the big advantages is like being able to reassure young patients before they do something scary. Like you said, oh, it's just an environment, but it'd be more of like familiarity. Part of the concern with interacting with big machines and dentists and doctors and all that is that there's a lot of mystery behind it. You don't know, will it hurt? Will it not? What does it look like? Like if I'm going to go on an MRI machine, what is that going to look like? What is that going to so you can like you're definitely like testing it. You're getting a sense for what it might be like before you get in there and and see what it might be like. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of
yeah.
advantages to doing that. So it's cool to see Pixel Max kind of
Yeah.
introduce that in their environments.
Yeah. Yeah. So the point I wanted to take is why metaverse? What's the point of it? Well, it can actually be used to help you actually ease into the physical world activity. Even though it's virtual, it actually helps people in many
Yeah.
ways. Yeah.
I would just say one more quick thing on this is I think we probably maybe viewers might be thinking, okay, well, why in a metaverse environment versus in a just a VR game or a
Mm.
2D game? Like, why the metaverse? Why does it have to be there? And I think that my perspective on that would be yes, you can test things out. What the metaverse might allow is because it might be a persistent 3D space. That's one of the definitions that we go with the metaverse, right? It's a persistent 3D environment with multiple users, people that are not in the same space. So you actually might be able to meet with your doctor. You might be able to meet with the receptionist, or you might be able to get screened in the same way that today you might use an app to talk to a doctor when you're sick. That was a big surge of that during the pandemic. Um, but anyway, so now you can start to get to that 3D realm where you might meet with doctors and things like that. And so not only is it just like a test and a like being able to get familiar with the experience, it's like you might actually do your meetings there, psychological visits, things like that. Anyway.
Yeah. It's very cool. Well, the next news, L'Oreal unveils the future of beauty, and I really wanted to highlight few things and then like kind of summarize why I thought this is interesting. So I'm gonna read off some of the programs they're launching. They are launching like 15 different programs, and this is where I
Hmm.
thought it's very impressive. So some of the programs they're launching, On-chain beauty is what they call it. NYX Professional Makeup empowers the next generation of 3D beauty creators by aiming to become the first ever decentralized record label for creators in Web3, redefining beauty in Metaverse. Next program, I've Wives Saint Laurent Beauty. I don't know how
Oh,
to
it's a
pronounce
French
these.
word. Yves Saint Laurent. Yves Saint
It's,
Laurent.
oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
it's their little word.
I'm glad you can say it, Johnny.
Yeah.
Glad you can say it. Opens 10,000 golden block NFTs through YSL Beauty's wallet to unlock experience and utility such as social token drops from DJ artists on POOIs. Like again, I'm not really familiar with those. I'm pretty sure that their target audience understands this. And Muggler will celebrate the anniversary of its iconic Angel fragrance with its very first NFT drop that will feature crypto art collection. So it goes on and on and on, and they have
Quite a
like
lot, actually.
15 programs launching, and I'm so impressed. Like some of the companies are really taking these things seriously. And the point I wanted to take home is that if you're a brand and if your target audience could really fit into these effort, like I think you should be on it. Like your competitors are getting onto these programs and getting so serious as to like just launch big swath of programs, and they'll see what will stick, right? Like maybe two would only really stick over time and succeed, and maybe 12 of them would fail. But I think you really have to treat this as like a new paradigm, new blue sea, blue ocean. You got to try it like a startup and just keep at it, even if you're a big company like a Royal. So yeah, that was the segment for this one. Let's move on to the next one. This this was very interesting. It says Green Paste trying to $60,000 ransom for stolen Bored Ape NFT. And Johnny, you might have something to add, but in summary, he had a show where he was supposed to feature Bored Ape, and that's why he was very desperate when his Bored Ape NFT was stolen, that he was really desperate, like, okay, like, please, like, I need this back because this is part of my show, part of like the next, things that he will be doing, right? So it wasn't just like, oh, I lost NFT, lesson learned. It's like it is actually affecting his real life job into what's coming. And I don't
Yeah.
know if Johnny, if
It's
you had
risky.
anything to, yeah, it is
I mean,
risky,
I
yeah.
first of all, who would have thought that we would cover any kind of like anybody would talk about this being news, right? Like Bored Ape Yacht Club stolen for $250,000, and this, it's just crazy. But yeah, I guess I'll add. I do think that uh I think what do I want to say about this? So much I want to say about this, but it's unfortunate, but it's also like a little ridiculous. But the fact that he has the show that he's working on, it's called White Horse Tavern. So you can see it in the photo there. That's actually it in the illustrative style of the show that he's working on. And so yeah, like it made it even more like important for him to pay it back. Like of course he's going to pay the ransom. So what I know is that from the time he bought the NFT, the Bored Ape Yacht Club, to the time he sold it, there was like a difference in the value of that. He paid the ransom of 260. The net difference was that he paid 200K out of pocket. So there was like that 60K difference that kind of net,
Hmm. Hmm.
if that makes any sense. But
Hmm.
anyway, it's definitely worrisome for others that might own it, that might use it for branding, because there's lots of big brands and small brands that I've seen billboards with Bored Ape Yacht Clubs where a brand has bought it and they use that as their avatar. There's like actual ownership around that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we
it's
just
very
talked
interesting.
about utility of Ethereum, right?
Yep.
Maybe if you extend the utility too far, and if you don't have funds to back it up in case something happens, maybe you can fall into a hard position of like, uh-oh, maybe we depended too much on this, and
Yep.
maybe there will be insurance of NFTs or whatever in the future for these type of things.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Before we jump into the top news here, Elisha, we do have a few comments, and I do want to spend some time answering those just briefly. One comment from Tommy Williams. Thanks for your comment here. Why do we need the metaverse to be built on the blockchain? Well, we don't need to build it on the blockchain, but what's interesting about it is that if you have two virtual worlds that are on the blockchain, you can start to introduce concepts like interoperability between them. So the blockchain could act as like a way to authenticate proof of ownership of digital goods in both of these virtual worlds or metaverse environments. And so, for example, I can be in Somnium Space, which is an Ethereum based one, and the Decentraland. And theoretically, if they both have the same crypto wallet, I could buy an NFT that is compatible across both. And so that's one advantage is the interoperability. Um, and so it allows you to kind of go between the verses essentially, right? Versus there might be some compatibility issues across virtual environments that are not built on the blockchain. But it could be other things too. We could say things like, well, uh, by being on the blockchain as well, it's not run by a corporation, right? And it's like, okay, now you can compare that against companies like Meta is building a version and Microsoft's building a work version. And so lots of companies are building. We talked about HTC Vive creating their Viveverse, right? Corporations. So blockchain allows it to be a little bit more decentralized and gives more power to those that have ownership or votes to those that are kind of part of the DAO system. Anything else you'd add, Elisha?
Yeah, I think that's really great answers. And I think just the mindset of the generation of people who like to represent themselves as like me on the metaverse. And if I buy clothes from here or shoes from here, like a premium Nike NFT shoes, like I want to wear that in other metaverse environment too. So I think
Yeah,
there's
very
that
good point.
emotional attachment as well. Yeah.
Yes. Great. And then a second question that came from Tommy. Interesting thoughts about doctor's visits. Do you picture that happening with avatars? That would be an interesting, huge face to face paradigm change. Definitely true. It isn't definitely a paradigm shift, especially for kids.
Hmm.
Today, I would say out of my last, I've had a lot of doctor's visits, and we've had COVID go in and out of our home quite a lot, even last week. Um,
Hmm.
but I would say out of the last 10 doctor's visits, 8 of them were done virtually for me and my wife and even some of my kids, where we were able to set up an appointment through like the network of doctors or hospitals. They have a lot of these are starting to be built into apps. That's a paradigm shift that's already happening of going from face to face to being yourself. If you start to do that in a metaverse environment, this is where you start to think about the importance of the avatar. Are you representing yourself as a dragon? Are you a photorealistic version of yourself? Are you a stylistic version of yourself? We're going to get into that when we get to the news on the meta portion and the fact that they're actually doing photorealistic avatars and some research stuff that's going into that. But it will absolutely be a paradigm shift. And
Yeah.
yeah, anything you'd add there?
Yeah. I wanted to add that, you know how there's a saying or psychological thing where if I ride on a big car, it feels like the car is extension of myself, right? And I feel like more
Mm.
confident and like, yeah, like I'm the big deal. And I think same would happen with like maybe children or people with shyness, right? They don't feel comfortable face to face even on the webcam. But if they know like they're like I'm the cool avatar character, maybe they feel a little bit more comfortable talking to even a doctor who might
Yes,
be avatar,
it's
right?
a good
Like
point.
it removes the shy, awkward. I don't know this adult person, random person I never met in real life too. Like, oh,
Yeah.
the cool elephant doctor. Like, oh, I want to talk to
That's a good
you
point.
about
A
my
little bit more
yeah.
approachable or whatever.
Mhm. Yeah.
Very good point. Very good point. So yes, we'll probably see it a bigger shift go from face to face to 2D, like video conferencing, to probably something like an avatar. And then there's
Yeah.
variations on the avatar and advantages to doing one or the other, but always putting that decision in the hands of the person that like the I guess you'd call it the patient, right?
Yeah.
So just a couple
Thank you
thoughts
for the
there. Thank you for the
questions.
questions. Yeah,
More
exactly.
question welcome anytime during the live show.
Perfect. All right, let's jump into the news portion here. Um, I'm actually covering here this first article. Pretty excited about this one. Uh, we've been keeping an eye on what's been evolving from Meta. Meta has a few metaverse environments that they launched when they kind of announced it with Mark Zuckerberg. They're like Horizon Worlds, Horizon Venues, Horizon Home was one, Horizon Marketplace. It's quite a lot of Horizon fill in the blank.
I honestly
Uh,
got really confused about
it's a little
those
confusing.
products. Yeah.
It's a little confusing. They've consolidated a few for that reason, and I would expect and I imagine that a lot of these will be consolidated into one eventually, and make that a little bit more simplified for the reasons of that confusion of all these different environments. But we're seeing an example of that. Well, today, or I guess this week, they're actually launching version 41, and Mark Zuckerberg did an example of that with Alex Honnold. I think it is the guy that does free. Have you seen Free Solo on Hulu or Netflix or anything like that? Where the
Mm-mm.
a free climber that doesn't use ropes to climb
Oh
this
yeah, yeah,
massive
yeah,
mountain.
yeah, yeah. I did, yeah.
So he was with him and kind of showcased this new launch of version
All
41
right.
that includes Horizon Home. What it
Are we
means
excited?
basically, so what it means is today when you put on a Horizon heads or a Quest headset, right? Whether it's a one or a two, you put that on and you're put into an environment. You can't really move around. That changed in April, I think it was. April now allowed you to spawn around and move around in your environment. That was a subtle update. But basically, you have like this 2D floating panel in front of you, and you can launch an app, or you can launch a movie, or you can
Mhm.
go to your settings or whatever. Right? It's like a 2D screen in front of you. What Horizon Home is now a actual environment that you own. So your environment becomes your environment. So what it allows you to do is things like choosing your environment, what goes into your environment. In version 41, they don't have that quite yet, though, Elisha. All they do today is you land there, it's your environment, but you can start to invite people. So I can say, hey, let me invite Elisha. And now you can appear in my room with me and we can be looking at the same things. We can launch Oculus TV. They have a partnership with Lionsgate Films, which is actually pretty big. They have quite a lot of movies in there, kind of movies that they've produced in the past. So Lionsgate Films is one of the partnerships they have. You could do an on-demand concert. So Oculus TV kind of connects to that Horizon venues and like all these show things. So it kind of becomes a little bit more native. So I could invite you into my room. We could launch the TV, the Oculus TV app, and watch a concert, watch a movie, that kind of thing. We can interact with each
Is-
other. We could host meetings.
Yeah, is it similar to like a spatial IO where Johnny, you have spatial IO room to yourself where you're
Yeah.
showcasing your NFTs and everything? Is it similar to that where I have my like 3D model home or environment where it's tied to somehow it's tied to my account and maybe there's a URL link that I can even share, but accessible within the headset, right?
Yeah, it's right today. It's only accessible if you have a Quest headset. But it is kind of like that. It becomes like, in a way, we were talking about avatars with Tommy's question. Avatar is an important way to how you represent yourself digitally, right? We do that today with social media as like a 2D little avatar that you upload and you
Mhm.
upload your photo. In these environments, it's an avatar. And then what they're introducing is now it's your space, it's your actual environment. I love this concept actually, and I hope that most metaverse environments will at least give you a place to call quote unquote home where you can put those
Oh,
things.
instead
Um,
of most metaverse world, you basically own a land and you just jump onto the large shared space where like, oh, I can see that you own this land and you built something.
yep,
But
costs
I
money
never,
or
yeah, cost money, right? But I never have like go to my room and
yeah,
then jump into a room, right? It
yep,
is what it is. Like, oh, I see that everyone owns their land and build their cool stuff. It's
yes,
like me going into the city. I don't own any of these commercial buildings,
no.
people's
You're
house,
going into
right?
the city and there's all these other things. You might, yeah, like if you go to Decentraland, you have to buy land. If not, you're just a visitor in a city that you don't
Right,
own anything for and you can go consume games.
right.
Spatial.io, they do like a version where you can launch your own little room. They do have a version of that. That's another, I would call that a metaverse environment that has introduced that version, that concept of your own space. They don't really
Mhm.
emphasize it a lot. Meta Horizon Home is like a pretty big emphasis, and they have huge plans for it, Elisha. So what they've said is this version allows you to do Oculus TV, and you can invite friends. They told us what is coming is you can actually play games together. Like I might play chess with you. We could put a chess game in my room, and I can actually like launch experiences within my room, as opposed to like going into another game together. It's something that's placed in my room, like a chess game, or we can hang out. And there's going to be more and more social tools. It also says that your home will have a room that can be your home office, which is pretty cool. So you can have a home office section where you can actually go work, and you just kind of walk over there or teleport there, and then it would show your desk. And that's another connection to Horizon Workrooms, one of the other metaverse environments for the work, right? So you'd be able to like look at your actual keyboard and actually do pass through from your camera to show you your hands and keyboard. There's already a few compatible keyboards today where you can actually go to that virtual and see your fingers typing on a virtual keyboard that match one for one whatever you're typing. Um, screen share, so you're doing work essentially, right, in your home. So that's coming. A fitness area, so you might be like, oh, I'm gonna go do my fitness stuff over here, and you can just walk into that room. And then to your point, Elisha, can you showcase art or do 3D things? They did say you will be able to showcase photos, like your digital photos that have been scanned, or art, and that might be NFTs. They've already claimed that they will eventually have some NFT connection. They haven't told us to what extent, but there will be like NFT showcase and artwork showcase, and so people will be able to create custom home environments individual to themselves, and they can also share those with other people and say, hey, you can clone this as a template and use that for your environment as a starter template, and then you can go place your digital photos, place your environment, play some games. You can start to envision what might come in the future with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, this is very cool. And I could see that they are trying to solve the problem where Johnny, you and I try to hang out in different apps within the headset, like, oh, jump
Yep.
onto this space or that space, and we are connected on the audio. And like, wait, where are you right now? Like, do you see this
Yes.
button? Do you see this icon? Like,
Exactly.
we struggle so much just to do simple activities, and we never felt like we're just chilling and relaxing and enjoying and doing something together. It
Yep.
felt more like, let's find out how this menu works. Let's find out how we
Yep.
see each other. And that's a really cool concept where I would love to hang out with people, but today it feels like it requires us to schedule something on a calendar, decide which app to meet, and decide
Yep.
which coordinate to meet. And if we're lucky, we are put into the same concurrent user server, right? Like server 1A C, where we are the 50 users in the server, because we find out that many of the metaverse environments that we jump onto were like segmented away because you can't have that many concurrent users. But with this home concept, like, I know if I invite you, you'll be in my room and we'll be watching movies together. I would love to actually experience that together, and then we can maybe record some footage ourselves, and then maybe even do that as a recorded segment, or it could be even fun to do it live and see how glitchy it is or how ready it is already and actually able to enjoy the environment. Cool. So Johnny, oh, I think we lost your voice. Can you say something, Johnny? Hello, hello. Hello. Yeah, I think we lost your voice, Johnny. Well, yeah. While he's coming back, if you guys have any question, we'll be able to answer about this. But I'm very excited about this Horizon Home. Like I just mentioned earlier, that one of the cool things that I want to achieve, because Johnny lives in Austin, I live in
I
Seattle,
think I'm
and
back.
oh, there you go. Yeah, you're back.
Perfect. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
don't forget to subscribe to us while we are repositioning our tech. And yeah, and we have Johnny on Twitter and
Yep.
LinkedIn, and Metaverse Johnny on TikTok. And I'm
Yep.
on Twitter, LinkedIn, and TikTok as well. And this is Fresh Lives live show. So we have our LinkedIn page that you guys can follow. You might even be watching from LinkedIn right now. We also have YouTube, where you can see all the past live shows that's recorded. We've also done recorded shows as well. So I highly recommend you guys click the subscribe button now and just be notified whenever we go on live. You'll be push notification or email notification from LinkedIn. And also on the YouTube, you also see the premiere. So you can hit the bell button and then you'll be notified when we go live.
Yep. Yep.
Cool,
Thank
Johnny.
you. Thank you for filling in for a second
Yeah.
there. I think my AirPods died. My
Ah,
and so you lose audio with that. Now we know. Uh, but yeah, thank you for covering that. I liked a lot what you were saying. I did hear, I think 95, 97% of that. But yes, we will test this out in the future. It is solving some problems. So going back to this Horizon Home V41 update, it is solving some problems and also adding additional functionality. But it's an interesting concept. I'm excited to see. There's been this. This has already been announced that they're going to have a browser-based version of Horizon Worlds. So I'm hoping they do something similar with Horizon Home, where you can just visit it in the browser, so even more accessible, right, to those that don't have VR headsets. But
Mm-mm.
accessible in the browser, accessible on mobile phones, accessible in the VR headset, and you can you can start to see more and more things of your environment. If you see in this video that's been looping over and over and over for those that are watching, you're seeing kind of that experience that they're trying to present. Oh, you got invited. It was a text message. They said that will come from any of their apps, Messenger, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, the Instagram app, any of their kind of umbrella social media apps will look like that. And then the other thing that you're seeing here is you're seeing like a photorealistic version of your home. And you can see there's art and there's gloves, there's trophies, there's outfits for your avatar, things like that. I think one question that I have for you on this particular segment, Elisha, is outside of the games and the videos and the hangout and the work and I mean, it's quite a lot of stuff that I've mentioned here on this bottom point. Uh, what other things would you say you'd want to have on your wish list that you'd want to be able to put in your environment?
That's interesting. The first thing that came to my mind, like right away, and I know we talked about entertainment. My initial reaction is, well, cool. This will be a cool environment to hang out and watch things together. Not just the TV partnership that you mentioned, but like Netflix, YouTube, animations. And this is something I keep talking with my friends, like, oh yeah, we should watch this YouTube video together or this anime together. And we start to find the Chrome plugins, and it's all clunky. And even without the avatar or the metaverse or Horizon World, like it's actually hard to watch things together. And I know in Apple ecosystem they try to solve that through the FaceTime. But immediate
Yep.
thing for me, let's watch together, like even when we're distant. That's one thing. It will be interesting to see if somehow we can link this my room within maybe local network. We talked about some situations where sometimes in the physical world the two people are together in the same room, but trying to experience like whether playing a game or being in the space that actually maps to the physical world, like playing maybe tag of war or like a shooter. And I've seen a lot of VR entertainment uh, locations that I see even in Seattle where you can go and play the shooter game together with your party, and you pay, $30 per person or
Yep.
something
Yep.
to play the game together, right? It would be cool if we could do that. So it's not just virtually we're in the same room, but physically we're actually connected together to play a game together or play, do different things together.
I
So
like that.
physical multiplayer capability. The additional segment would be, maybe is there a way to connect different worlds? Like spatial, I love spatial because they have this portal, right? Where, okay, here's the room that we created, but instead of making the room bigger and bigger, we can link to another world. So if Johnny and I decide that we connect our rooms, we can actually jump to our room, or any guests can
Oh.
jump between the worlds. And could that also extend to not just our rooms, but can I create like Fresh Labs office where we can both
Oh.
join, right? So maybe don't come to my room, but let's be at this room
Let's eat in
together.
our Fresh Labs shared room. It's like
Yeah, share
shared
room.
rooms that can be interconnected with each other. That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
And I thought would be very cool because in my project that I've been working on, we have this room on the Hangout Meet where, because most of us are working remotely and we're all distributed across different regions, we created this room, and it's created every single morning that, okay, instead of setting up one-to-one meetings between each other, let's just have one shared room where we can jump on and work there. And if you want to mute yourself, that's fine. If you want to talk about the problems, it's fine. It's like co-locating our desks together, and people who can answer the question can like just answer and unblock each other. So that's why I thought this shared office concept, just like in spatial, right? Like in many other worlds that supports that capability of creating shared room, like a
Yep.
Laravel we interview, they work together in spatial
Yep.
space. So that would be cool extension of it.
I love it. That's I've never even thought about that. There's a lot of interesting stuff you said there. Um, yeah, yeah, let's see how that evolves over time. It sounds
Yeah.
like there will be some incremental updates, but that's a pretty interesting evolvement and or just evolution of what we've been seeing them do, but just in general for the kind of metaverse, because this will be a pretty largely adopted. It's basically native when you launch the headset, so it'll be quite a lot of people that will get this. So
Mhm.
be good. Let's jump to this next section, Elisha. There's actually two articles that we have here. One is still about Meta on this one right after this one, but this one's about Amazon AR shoe try on. And then right next to it's this one about the Meta's photorealistic avatars. And there is somewhat of a connection between these. We kind of talked about this earlier, but you have news around, yeah, there we go, on Amazon AR shoe try on, right? It's an augmented reality feature that's now native on the Amazon app, right? So
Yeah, I
I
actually
did a
tried it out on my
yeah,
Amazon application because I didn't
great.
know this, but it was already in the application.
Yep.
That's what's crazy about I think Amazon apps that it's there, and unless you read the news, you don't necessarily discover
Yeah, it's just kind of a
about this.
little button at the bottom of the product,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh, wow, there's a whole feature thing behind this thing." So I did a we talked about this at the last live show, but I was at in Houston presenting at the Ion, kind of an innovation center where lots of businesses are, and I gave a presentation around business use cases, like practical business use cases for AR, VR, and the metaverse. And later, I started talking to a lot of people that came up to me after, and they had said that their only experience with augmented reality to date, and this happened with a number of people, was the Amazon app. It's like, hey, I have Amazon, and I've actually placed a couch in my room before I bought it
Wow.
to see what it would look like. That's that I would say is um, maybe millennials and Gen Z are more familiar with things like Snapchat, which has tons of filters and effects, and then Instagram has some of that experience as well. But Gen Y seems like to not have really launched. If they have Instagram, they're not launching a face feature that puts a hat on, puts a mask on, or they're not using Snapchat at all, right? And so these apps like Amazon, because that's the largest commerce,
Mhm.
company in the world, um, when they release a feature like this, there's massive adoption, right? And it brings more and more awareness around augmented reality. So they have furniture. So there's quite a lot of products they have. I think that they've almost every 6 months or every year, they're releasing like a huge batch of new augmented reality ready products that you can place in your room. Things like lamps and trees and things that go on your desk and monitors. And so they have quite a lot of products, but um, they have like the furniture placement, they have the object placement, and then more recently, I think this was in 2020. So that came out in 2017, Elisha, the AR placing of furniture. 2020, they started to do like a builder, like a room builder, where you can grab a couch from Amazon, you can grab a tree from Amazon, you got a rug from. So you start to bring in elements and plan. It's like a room planner feature with augmented reality, and that's also
I didn't
built
even know
into
about
the phone.
that. I didn't even know about
There you
that
go. Not a
feature.
lot of people know about that. Another button that's hidden. And then with this week's news, it's a pretty big one because it's an AR shoe try on. And you're seeing the video loop here over and over. But basically is if you go to Amazon and you look for any of these brands, New Balance, Adidas, Reebok, Puma, and I don't know the last one at all. I've never heard of it, but maybe a lot of people have. But those are the four bigger brands that I'm aware of. If you look for any of those shoes on Amazon right now, and then you point it, it'll tell you point your camera at your feet, and you go and look down at your feet. As you can see here, there's a virtual try on of those shoes. Now, they aren't the first company to do this, but the reason it's a big deal is think about how many people have the Amazon app. Think
Mhm.
about how many people buy shoes. There's a bunch of people, all over the world. So it's thousands of sneaker styles from these big brands, and there's probably going to be more and more partnerships that are available. They might even make it available if you are a non-major brand. They might make that available, and so you're able to kind of try those shoes on. Um, so I want to ask you, Elisha. I mean, I have some thoughts around this, and there's more I want to cover in this segment. But I want to ask you, why do you think this matters? Like, why is it just a cool, like, flashy thing to be able to show off and share on social media, or do you see a practical reason why you should be able to try on things like shoes?
So when I buy shoes, I'll go to the website, right? And there's so many shoes out there. And I'll start to scroll down and I'll look for like a certain style that I like, but it's generally like me scrolling down, click next, scrolling down, click next. I don't know. I didn't find something on this side, so I'm going to the Macy's to find it, or Nordstrom to find it. I'm going to the
Yep.
other sites to find it. When I tried this virtual try on with Amazon, it almost I would say it was almost dangerous because whatever shoes I project on, it kind of looked cool. Like, oh, like I never wear these type of shoes actually
Yeah.
in real life. Like I
You're like,
just
"Oh, I
try to
might get these."
yeah, like this is actually cool. Like it and it's also like third party perspective, right? I think I get really picky when I tried out the Warby Parker app to project the glass on my face because it's my face, right?
Yeah.
Like I care so much more about it. But when I just see my feet with the jeans on and the shoes, it's more like a third person perspective of like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's almost like I'm wearing cool avatar. Like, why not wear this in person? And it almost made me feel like there's a less friction for me to say yes to this style. Whereas if I'm just seeing the picture, I just mentally block out or filter out the shoes that like, oh yeah, it's kind of cool, but it's kind of flashy and maybe too young for me. I'll just like scroll, scroll, scroll. With this try on, it's like, well, maybe it's too young for me, but what if I try it on and like, oh, maybe I actually might look cool and fit my style. I also love that I can test that with the clothes I wear. That's something I always think about,
In
right? Like,
combination with other
yeah,
outfits, yeah.
yeah, because when I wear certain type of schema clothes, and you don't want to go too off maybe purposefully, if you're good with your eyes with the fashion, you purposefully go break the rule. But for me, I'm not that kind of person, so like, does it fit with my outfit that I wear, the tone of the jeans that I tend to wear? It just reduced so much friction. And
Got it.
because Amazon has it, the AR, I'd rather almost try that first than
Yep.
to scroll through other websites. Any thoughts that you have, Johnny? I know you wanted to share
No, I
something.
love that. Yeah, I mean, I agree with all of those. I think that essentially was a lot of the reasons I was gonna mention. I do think that it provides, I mean, fashion, being able to see it before you wear it is a big deal. It's a huge deal. A lot of companies like Warby Parker introduced the try before you buy. Amazon does this too. Right next to the button that says virtual try on, it says try before you buy. They send you a pair and you can return it and you don't get charged for it. So there's a lot of this. It's like test driving a car. They say like the likelihood of buying the car after you test drive it is so much higher because you saw yourself in it and you pictured yourself driving that car and fitting into your lifestyle. Same thing with the shoes. Those could be on my feet with these pants, right? So yeah, I agree with a lot of that. And we're seeing that, I guess just the last little thing here is we're seeing that there's a trend in 2022 for virtual try on. I talked about Amazon doing it in 2017, 2020. We see incremental updates. We see this one today, right? We're talking June. We're going to see other big organizations continue to do this. But Walmart did a virtual fitting room tool in March. Snapchat. This is where I've experienced this for the first time. Is actually in Snapchat. There was an ad for Nike, and I looked down at my feet, and I could try every single pair of Nikes without ever leaving Snapchat. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. They actually have even more. They have like wrist watch try on. They have ring try on. So there's even more. So I'm imagining that we're going to see this trend continue. I'm imagining we're going to see Amazon introduce watch. We're going to see them introduce ring. We're going to see them introduce lots of products and fashion forward products and being able to kind of try those things on. So,
Yeah,
um,
and the fact that I can return Amazon product free really fast. In fact, they built return center right next to our office, Johnny, in Seattle, Fresh
yep.
Consulting. That like on the way to the office, I'm just gonna return it. Like there's such
There
a
you go.
low risk, low risk. I
Yep.
already tried it virtually, but if I didn't really like it in the end, didn't feel right, it was too tight on my feet,
Yep.
I'm just gonna return it next day. So they're doing such a good job reducing friction. And yeah, I think we wanted to pair that article with the Meta's new Photoreal avatars because they both have to do with the phone using the camera. And Johnny plays a Yeah, tell us about this cool thing that they're showing. Oh, maybe the video is not playing, but
Maybe we won't get it to play here, but um, yeah, it's essentially and we probably want to cover this pretty quick here, but what I wanted to mention, you can kind of see a little bit of a snapshot there, but essentially, Reality Labs is a kind of a R&D, research and development part of Meta, and they continue to like release research papers and things like that, and involve evolution of technology and things like that that they're working on as it relates to the Quest headset and maybe future products that they have that have to do with AR and VR. But what's a big deal about today is that about the article they released, the paper they released on this, is that eventually we're going to see in our Quest headsets not just a stylized avatar. Mark Zuckerberg has already said this. There's going to be three types of avatars: a photorealistic avatar, a stylized avatar, and a pick your own character animal avatar, like creative avatar.
Mhm.
And so the photorealistic avatar, these are the updates we're seeing from this. And so in the codec 2.0 that was shared in like April, it took them about 100 cameras to do what they just showed that you can do with an iPhone. So you take the iPhone that already has depth sensors in it, has a really high quality camera, you point it towards your face and you scan. It says it takes about 3.5 minutes to scan. And the process to actually train the neural network, the hyper network, takes these four powerful GPUs, and it takes 6 hours to do that. And by the end of it, you get what you see here on this little snapshot, this thumbnail, is that you have these hyper realistic 360-degree avatars that are extremely photorealistic, and probably the most photorealistic. You don't get the uncanny valley thing anymore because it becomes almost exactly like the real thing, at least from what you can see in their videos. So it's pretty cool to see some of the updates there. There's still some issues there, Elisha. They're still dealing with, as you would imagine, like glasses, how to represent glasses in 3D space and scanning those from all angles, long hair that goes past the scanning area of your phone and moving around. And then obviously it's only capturing the head; it's not doing a whole body, and so that part has to get simulated, and it does its best to capture like skin color and things. So it's still not fully hyper realistic, but the head portion of these photorealistic avatars are becoming more and more advanced. So obviously we don't have four GPUs on our phones, so it's probably going to be some version of a cloud GPU and processing happening in the cloud from Meta, a massive company, right? So we're going to see more and more of that get offloaded into the cloud and then become more accessible to eventually, probably you'll go into your Quest headset, go through a scan process with your phone in the Quest app, right? You'll go and scan your face. It does all the training and it tells you when your avatar's ready. And then boom, now you have a photorealistic avatar as an option that we can meet with or do work with and things like that. So that's the direct application to like the metaverse and the Quest headset with this research that we just got from this paper.
Cool. Yeah, I think in contrast to the Amazon example, this is like scanning the physical and bringing the physical to the virtual world. Whereas in Amazon, it's the other way around, right? Like where through the camera, you're bringing like a virtual to the physical projection. And I like how it can go
Exactly.
between now with just the camera on the phone. And that's crazy. And I think the main takeaway is I need to start investing in skincare so that before I take my picture, I can preserve perfect look of myself, and I'll just use that for next 10 years and not feel the age in my avatar.
Yeah, that's my worry too. I'm like, I don't know if I want complete photorealistic. Like, take away the blemishes. No. But anyway, so that's a quick update on that. I think we're down to
Mhm.
just a few more minutes. Thanks for everyone that's been joining so far. There is a question of the week, Elisha, and it looks like our question of the week is let's put this in here.
Yes, and
What
we
is
don't
the
know this question prior to.
We don't. We're seeing this for the first time. What's
Yeah.
the best VR headset for a beginner? Elisha, I'll let
Oh,
you answer
I
this.
I I think we have the clear answer, right?
There's a clear winner to it. Yes.
Early winner, I'll just say the Quest 2 headset from the Meta Quest 2. I think it's just Meta has been, the pioneer in this space. It's affordable price. I think you can start at $299 if you start with the lower memory. It's pretty affordable. You don't need PC. It's standalone headset. Anyone can use it. It has so many cool applications, including the Beat Saber and the Horizon. All these Horizon home stuff we just talked about. It's going to be exclusive to them. They constantly release updates. They are, I think, paving the way in the industry, Johnny, do you have different opinion or?
No, I agree with all of it. All I'll say is that they're investing billions of dollars towards advancing this part of their business, and it's the most adopted headset that exists. So, doesn't mean it's the most powerful one or has the best optics or is the most ergonomic, but it's got the most adoption. Most of your friends will be on it. It's a great beginner one that has the most to kind of leverage with that. So, pretty clear answer on the question of the week today, Elisha.
Yeah, and if you follow us and subscribe us on YouTube, we actually have a past video where we covered accessories, our favorite accessories for the Meta Quest 2, as well as my review on the glasses, prescription glasses within the Quest headset that really improved the UX for me. And we'll try to link that in the description of our YouTube, but feel free to go back to our past videos on YouTube and search the Meta Quest 2, and it will come up with some of the videos where we review some of the accessories.
Yes, thank you for that. All that content that he's talking about and things like that, we do centralize that on our website, freshlabs.tech. You can see my social profiles, Elisha's social profiles. Again, we're part of Fresh Consulting, and we kind of cover a lot of this emerging technology. So join us in future. Put this in your calendar every Wednesday, 12 p.m. So noon Pacific time, every single Wednesday. And we love the questions. Thank you for the questions today, Tommy, and others that were. We didn't cover all of those today, but you can follow us there on the show and see our content on those websites, and then follow us on all the other content from the social media platforms that we have on the screen. But thank you for all those that joined today.
Yeah, thank you so much. See you next week.